Hey everyone, I'm Billy, and welcome back to the Perantau Podcast. Episode kali ini kita kedatangan Rafa Atala, seorang jurnalis di ABC Indonesia. With a Bachelor's of Communication degree from RMIT, he has also worked for the university in the Public Relations Department, alongside gaining experience elsewhere in Indonesia before making the jump to the ABC. Jadi topik pembicaraan gue sama Rafa ini banyak ngomongin transisi dari masa perkuliahan ke dunia kerja, perbandingan industri PR dan jurnalisme di Australia dan di Indonesia, sama ada nggak sih pengaruhnya background kita sebagai orang Indonesia pas di luar negeri. Dan jujur karena Rafa juga teman baik gue, kita ngobrolnya juga jadi agak panjang. So I hope you guys can follow along, and if you feel like you relate, feel free to reach out. Okay, well, let's get to it.
Boy, okay. Okay, hello. My name is Rafa. Terus, I start studying the RMIT University di tahun 2019. Oh my God, that was 5 years ago. Gila, I feel so old.
I mean-
Yeah, aku selalu untuk introduction, I always say kayak, oh, I'm a student at RMIT University. Wow, gila. No, I'm not.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Alumni. RMIT alumni.
An RMIT alumni. Pokoknya pas aku di university, I took professional communication, which basically professional communication namanya aja udah aneh to begin with gitu ya. Kayak what is professional communication? Do you communicate professionally? They basically professional communication tuh kamu belajar media, public relations, advertising, and journalism gitu. Kita basically study everything. Terus di tahun kedua ambil pick a specialization, which is public relations. Tapi funnily enough, I'm not in public relations anymore. I'm in journalism. Aku sekarang a journalist di ABC, ABC News, Australia, Asia Pacific Newsroom for Indonesian stories. Gemes.
Gue pengen mulai sama how you've been a long active member of the Indonesian community, especially previously part of PPI at both the university level at RMIT, but also at the state level. You know, so how's that shaped your own life here? You know, why be proactive? Like, what were your driving motivation? I guess like to be a more proactive member of the Indonesian community here, and why take up these roles?
Oh, that is a really great question. Ayo kita ngelakuin ke backstory ya. Dan aku juga mau deh denger ceritanya kamu juga, Bill. Soalnya menurut aku kayaknya kita bakal ada kesamaan-kesamaannya gitu sih.
Bisa jadi sih.
Tapi basically, it was 2019. Basically, I moved to Australia and I didn't know anyone. I came here with my brother. And that's basically it. Udah, I didn't know anyone. Very different ya compared to a lot of people yang kesini tuh ada temen SMA, ada temen SMP, a lot of Indonesians, especially like newer students, emang kesini tuh with already having a friend group or a community in mind. And that wasn't the case with me at all. When I first came at 2019, I was very, I wouldn't say helpless. Helpless is a very strong word. Tapi I was very confused. I was very new to everything. Jadi kamu tahu gak sih kalau misalnya kayak baru mulai sekolah itu kan kayak, oh I want to make friends with the people in my classes gitu kan. Terus unfortunately in professional communication there's no Indonesian at all. It's basically Australians. Beda ya sama kayak business atau engineering or anything like that. Communications basically there's no Indonesians at all. Trying to make friends, tapi you can, and I was technically making friends, tapi kamu bisa kerasa deh kayak ada culture barrier-nya gitu, kayak beda lah kalau misalnya temenan sama orang Indonesia gitu. Jadi when I heard about PPI, I was like, oh this is so cool, like I want to make like friends beneran in my culture gitu. Beneran lah ketemu kayak sesama Indo yang di Australia gitu kan, selalu seru banget. Jadi aku kayak, oh kayak let me try it out. Aku ikut ke PPI RMIT. My first event itu Mateng, which is, aku lupa banget lagi kepanjangannya itu apa. Mateng is I don't know kepanjangannya Mateng, but basically Mateng is like an orientation event for new Indonesian students yang belajar di RMIT University, and I had so much fun. I came to that event not really knowing anyone, and I came out with like 2 actual friends that I'm still talking to this day. Ya pokoknya kayak seru banget. Jadi makanya pas aku kenal orang-orangnya, aku kayak, oh this is cool. Oke, ya udahlah, let me be more active gitu. Terus dia lebih jadi lebih aktif, tapi It was 2020. Jadi basically itu udah pandemi, tiba-tiba udah ada lah. Jadi it was a really really crazy time. Tapi somehow tahu nggak sih kalau misalnya di organisasi terus kalau misalnya pandemi semuanya kayak aku kayak nggak bisa organisasi di pandemi. Did you feel that way, Bill? Kayak pas mulai pandemi gitu.
Kayaknya justru malah lebih semangat gak sih?
Iya kan? Exactly. That was how I was feeling. Jadi aku kayak, you know what? I'm not doing anything anyways gitu. Terus waktu itu, I was assigned to be a coordinator for one of PPRMIT's big events. Terus I really really enjoyed it. Jadi pas tahunnya terakhir kelar, terus ditanya ada nggak yang mau jadi executive gitu. One of my good friends, Michelle Susento, Misu, shout out to her. Dia tuh mau banget jadi presiden gitu. Terus pas di organisasi kita connect banget kita berdua. Jadi pas aku denger dia mau jadi presiden, aku kayak you know what? Okay, this is maybe my time juga. I was kind of thinking of kayak applying. Tapi when I know kayak a good friend of mine juga bakal applying to jadi tim segala. Itu aku kayak okay, yeah, let me do it. Terus belajar di sana tuh wah gila, keren banget sih. I learned so much banget. I think yang mungkin semua orang nggak ngelihat PPIA sebagai wadah untuk beneran ngeasah skills kamu ya gitu. Banyak banget orang yang ngelihat PPIA tuh sebagai tempat untuk buat teman, having fun, ya networking aja ya dapat skill sedikit. Tapi beneran deh kalau misalnya if you have a leadership position in PPRMIT, I think your skills got enhanced really really beneran difokusin banget gitu. Kayak misalnya aku belajar banyak banget lah jadi vice president di PPRMIT. I was leading a team of 8, which was crazy. I was so nervous kayak beforehand gitu, kayak untuk memulai semuanya gitu. Dan I have to think of strategies to really tackle communities in the pandemic and online. And one thing to note, I went back to Indo when all of that happened gitu. Terus I really really enjoyed it, belajar banyak banget. I made so many friends. Jadi pas akhirnya balik ke Australia pas 2022, aku kepikirannya kayak it's my last year of university. I really enjoyed doing organization back in the pandemic. I wonder what it's like to actually do it in person and offline, to actually see people, to actually make events, and you can attend those events in person. And when I know PPI Vic lagi nyari-nyari an executive team, I reached out. Dan everything else was history. Gitu deh. Really, really enjoyed it. 3 tahun, that was crazy. Tapi kamu 4 tahun ya, Bill? Jadi kamu gila sih.
Kelamaan sih gini.
Enggak lah. Maybe.
Perhaps.
Tapi that was basically my story aja sih. Kayak, dan jujur banget ya, one thing to note, I learned so many skills tuh lewat dari PPIA instead of university. Maybe this is just my course, and maybe it's just RMIT. Tapi I don't know how to describe it. It's mostly just writing essays, doing campaigns, brainstorming, making presentations, making slides, doing research, gitu-gitu aja sih. It was basically like making a campaign lah, basically gitu. And even though it is very useful on some cases, a lot of soft skills yang beneran akhirnya bakal diperluin untuk media komunikasi, media communication specialist and public relations and journalism, itu nggak necessarily diajarin di university gitu. Kayak misalnya gimana cara kita nge-recruit orang gitu. How do you do interviews? How do you make events? Kan events kan banyak banget layersnya kan kayak untuk ini. Kayak kamu harus planning lah, buat Google Docs lah, buat inilah. Terus harus buat strategi untuk promosi itu gimana lah. How do you do the creative direction for this event? Badannya tuh mau kayak gimana? I think a lot of layers to that. Ngasihin soft skills yang akhirnya aku bisa pakai dan bisa transfer dengan bagus untuk akhirnya ke akhirnya pas aku graduate university and finding a job gitu.
And I guess that transitions really well into your career life now. Gitu kan. Sesudah lulus dari kuliah, terus sekarang benar-benar bekerja gitu. Dan karena lu juga ngomong pengalaman lu di PPI ya, berorganisasi, apalagi sama orang-orang Indonesia lain yang benar membantu soft skill lu juga gitu kan. Jadi sekarang gue pengen ngomong lebih ke your experiences in working at the media and communications industry in Melbourne gitu ya. And where you now work at ABC Indonesia and previously with, as you said, the PR team at RMIT. Nah, gue pengen nanya nih, sebenarnya does being Indonesian translate much in your professional work here in Melbourne? Mungkin kalau ABC Indonesia pasti jelas, lebih jelas gitu ya dampaknya. Tapi kalau pas kerja di RMIT di mana ya nggak ada hubungannya sama nasionalitas gitu, nggak ada hubungan sama background pribadi gitu kan, karena toh juga bekerja untuk perkuliahan dan bekerja dalam tim yang sangat diverse dari berbagai macam negara dan background juga gitu. Misalnya apakah di situasi-situasi seperti itu latar belakang lu sebagai orang Indonesia bukan mengubah persepsi tapi lebih ke apakah itu berdampak kepada pekerjaan lu sendiri gitu?
That is also a really great question. Dan aku juga nggak bakal sugarcoat it juga ya. I'm not going to say kayak, oh being Indonesian still helped me banget in my career and life. Dan aku mungkin mulai dengan, again, another cerita. Aduh, sorry banget, I have so many stories.
Lah kan tujuannya ini ya.
Iya, tapi basically banget nih. Kan I was telling you, kalau misalnya di university, pas awal-awal di tahun pertamanya aku, I was doing media, advertising, public relations, and journalism, and I have to pick a specialization on the second year. Nah, I was really, really confused as to what specialization that I wanted to pursue. So, I took it upon myself to actually talk to my kayak lecturers and course coordinators for all 4 disciplines. Terus bicara kayak, oh ini this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Kayak enaknya tuh aku bakal kayak gimana ya. Dan pas aku bicara sama my course coordinator yang di advertising, dia tuh ngebilangin kayak, jujur, if you're a foreigner and you go into the advertising industry, it'll be really, really hard. Because, dan sebenarnya make sense juga sih. Karena di media and communications, the landscape in Australia, especially advertising, it's very engraved in culture. And when you're a foreigner and you come in 2019, and that was like 2000, aku baru setahun di Australia, you can't really engrave banget to the culture and pop culture, the inside jokes, terus beneran all of the little details. And advertising is full of kayak little cheeky little details, a callback to apa, to pop culture and apa-apa gitu. Dan dia bakal bilangin kayak, oh foreigners jujur kurang cocok sih biasanya di advertising, soalnya landscape yang Australia di media tuh they're very specific. And if you, kalau kamu buka YouTube and if you see kayak iklan-iklan advertising gitu, sometimes tuh I would say to Raffi kayak my brother, terus aku kayak, ini what's the point of this ad? I think they're trying to be funny, tapi it just doesn't land with me gitu. Dan itu goes to show aja di mana emang landscape dan pemikiran orang Australia sama kayak foreigner tuh beda gitu. Jadi pas dia bilang itu tuh aku kayak, oh actually, hey that's actually really good point. Aku kayak, iya juga sih. Dan aku dengar dari teman-temannya aku yang eventually did end up kayak working in advertising. I think they did advertising for beberapa kali, terus mereka kayak aduh kayak nggak bisa deh, kayak beda banget gitu. Dan akhirnya they went on to do something else gitu. Jadi itu pertama kali, that was how I was introduced to the media landscape culture ya di Australia. Soalnya itu pas aku masih student, terus aku kayak pokoknya kayak takut deh, kayak very different banget gitu. Dan kayak beneran akhirnya aku akhirnya tuh pilih public relations because of a few things. Dan jujur because kayak dari semua courses yang aku ngelakuin dan ngelakuin semua assignments di university, itu tuh yang aku paling enjoy banget gitu. Tapi akhirnya pas aku udah masuk mulai ke public relation, I think there's actually some pros to having kind of an outside view of everything ya for public relations. Jadi kalau misalnya public relations, again, tapi again pas pertama kali aku mulai ya di public relations role-nya aku jujur agak struggling gitu. Soalnya even though I was introduced to media outlets in Australia, kayak setiap media outlet tuh mereka tuh audiensnya tuh apa, mereka tuh lebih progresif atau konservatif, mereka tuh yang baca readersnya tuh kayak tua atau muda. Itu kayak I touched on it briefly in university, tapi itu selain you have to do research, you don't really get to actually berhubungan dengan media-media outlet gitu. Dan when I got into PR, kan beneran harus gitu, I have to contact journalists in those media outlets. Akhirnya pas awal-awal tuh emang harus belajar banget sih, kayak what's the Herald Sun, terus itu kayak The Conversation, ABC, gitu. Itu beneran kayak harus belajar banget lah pokoknya, soalnya setiap stories yang kita ngelakuin kan pasti audiensnya, targetnya kita tuh beda-beda gitu. It's not really kita harus ngelempar general ke semuanya. Kadang tuh kita beneran harus fokus ke suatu outlet dan suatu audience gitu. Jadi dimana kita harus jadi kayak lebih spesifik dan targeted gitu sih. Dan awal-awalnya jujur lumayan struggle sih kayak belajar all of that gitu. Tapi akhirnya tuh we have to pitch stories, dan pitch stories yang kita harus ngelakuin kadang being a foreigner has its pros juga. Soalnya we come into everything always with a curious mind and always second guessing everything. Kayak misalnya kayak taxes tuh naik, so aku kebingungan sendiri gitu kayak kenapa ya gitu. Dan from my question there I can shape it untuk supaya itu menjadi a pitch gitu, menjadi a targeted question untuk audience yang bukan Australians gitu. Dan jujur di Australia, especially in Melbourne, there's a lot of audiences, foreign audiences. You can see it everywhere, especially in Melbourne CBD, kayak students from China, students from India, kayak transfer students from North America, Canada. Jadi ya sih kayak ada audience itu. Then they also read news. Jadi itu sih sebenarnya sih kayak I can represent a whole group of people, and dare I say really important people gitu. Jadi kayak my questions and my second guessing itu akhirnya juga bisa, oh iya juga bener juga ya, as someone from the outside kayak because kayak untuk Australians, because kita tuh kayak grow up with this gitu. Jadi they never really question it. Then when there's someone from the outside actually nanya the whole process, we can really dissect semua tuh prosesnya untuk ngeliatin kayak ini what's happening gitu. Mungkin untuk lebih jelas mungkin aku bisa kasih contoh ya gitu. Contohnya tuh kalau misalnya di Indonesia kayak second sama kayak super fakes itu kan very gede banget ya di Indonesia. They're everywhere. Adalah di Tanah Abang, you can just see it. Di Shopee atau kayak di mana you can just see Gucci bags with like really affordable price tags. Nah di Australia itu nggak ada sama sekali gitu. Jadi pas aku dengar ada nih something, ada kejadian waktu itu, ada a brand was selling kayak fake luxury products. Aku kayak, is that not normal in Australia? Terus mereka tuh kayak enggak sama sekali, kayak enggak ini banget sama sekali sih. Terus aku kayak, wait, actually kayak this is actually really normal in Jakarta gitu. Terus akhirnya aku mulai nge-research kayak, kenapa ya di Australia enggak ada, kenapa ya enggak nyampe ke Australia. Padahal Australia itu sama salah satu negara yang ke-impact banget sama Asia kan, mereka deket banget kan sama Asia. Terus dari belajar di sana aku juga akhirnya belajar kayak, turns out younger audiences are buying fake luxury products. Terus akhirnya aku membuat a pitch gitu. Why are young audiences buying fake luxury products specifically in Asia? Gitu. Is it because of social media? It's because of influencers? Gitu akhirnya. And it went really great. Itu kayak akhirnya kayak ABC picked it up, Peloton picked it up. It was in a cover for something in Brisbane. Aku beneran lupa banget. Tapi out in Brisbane kayak put it on the Sunday newspaper. It was really great. Jadi itu goes to show aja sih kayak beneran having that foreign view, kind of like a helicopter view as well. Kayak ngeliatin tuh semua dari luar ya. Kayak ngeliatin kayak what's all of this gitu. Itu juga ada pros and cons sih. Gitu.
Soalnya apalagi karena bukan dari sini kan kayak tadi lu bilang, we're more disassociated ya. Tapi not in a bad way, tapi in a more critical, observant way.
Yeah.
Gitu. I think observant is a good way to put it. Gitu. So now we're not brought up in this sphere. Jadi we feel less entrapped by it gitu kan. We tend to see things more from a curious nature kayak ini maksudnya apa kayak yang tadi lu bilang. Gitu.
Yeah, exactly.
Iya kan makanya.
Would you say it's the same for you as well pas kamu kayak belajar? Aku penasaran deh kayak as a master student yang kamu pasti tuh kayak in your master kamu kan pasti bakal belajar kan ya kayak sama banyak orang dari mana-mana. When you're doing group work itu kayak do you feel the same way?
Ya, masa kayak at least the way that I approach it. Makanya salah satu alasan podcast ini juga gitu kan. Soalnya everyone has a story to tell. Gitu kan. It's just a matter of asking the right questions. Ya kan?
Oh, that is so cool.
Ya kan?
Gila, I'm gonna save that quote and then use it and then pretend kayak I thought of it. It's just so good.
I mean, we have it on tape today.
You heard it first, folks.
Yes, of course, yes. Exclusive.
Sorry, you were saying?
Ya, no, masa emang intinya gitu kan. and I mean both in the academic setting and both and as in my work too. So kan we have a similar sort of, I wouldn't say necessarily career paths, tapi we'll get to that in a bit. Not necessarily career paths, tapi but at least academic background. So kan you were doing professional communications and then ventured into journalism, which we'll get into. Dan di mana gue mulainya was more with journalism. Well, I mean, I did my degree because I was interested in journalism. Gitu. Tapi lama-lama bercabang ke karena banyak nanya ke sini sana, jadi interest gue makin lama makin bercabang. Makanya sampai S2 pula, karena gue emang tertarik dengan dunia akademia juga gitu. Karena di situ kita bisa berpikir lebih kritis. That affects to my own storytelling as well. Gitu. From a more I wouldn't say necessarily educated, but at least more informed perspective gitu kan. So I tend to look at more academic sources that could translate to how people live in the daily sense gitu. So kan there's a fine difference between academia and the real life gitu. Kadang-kadang I mean academia tends to look at the real life gitu kan. Tapi the real life doesn't necessarily agree with academia. It depends on how it's scrutinized in the first place gitu. Makanya balik lagi into being a critical and observant role in society gitu. Dan sekarang makanya gue mau nanya tentang pengalaman lu di ABC Indonesia ini. Sejauh ini emang belum lama kan lu di situ. Masih bisa dihitung minggunya lah gitu.
Iya.
Dan apalagi kemarin baru pemilu Indonesia di luar negeri dan tanggal 10 Februari baru pemilu untuk Indonesia di luar negeri gitu. Dan di situ kan lu kemarin liput, kita juga kemarin ngobrol gitu. Dan yang gue pengen tahu bukan hanya gimana awal lu bisa sampai ke titik situ gitu. Tapi ini juga di mana apa yang lu merasa bisa membawakan kepada posisi bukan hanya sekedar jurnalis di ABC Indonesia, tapi sebagai lu sendiri sebagai seorang Rafa gitu, di organisasi yang seperti ini gitu. What do you bring to the table really?
Wah, gila, itu kayak beneran a question yang very very loaded banget ya gitu. Mungkin aku kayak kayak kamu mau aku bahas nggak kayak kenapa aku bisa masuk to the ABC to begin with?
Well, sure, yeah.
Oke, jadi soalnya itu it's a lot of layers, jujur.
Asal nggak sensitif loh ya?
Nggak sensitif. Enggak sensitif kok gitu.
Oke. Gimana?
Nggak sensitif kok.
Nggak sensitif?
Nggak sensitif kok.
Jadi nothing confidential nih?
Yeah, nothing too confidential.
Disclaimer
Yeah.
dulu. Just in case.
Not too confidential. Hey, jujur, it's very funny. You know how there's a saying, everything happens for a reason? I think itu beneran banget sih untuk my career path. Soalnya, jujur, I wouldn't have gotten the ABC job, if I didn't like journalism. Soalnya awalnya banget when I did my university, I did everything of all disciplines. Tapi journalism is the one that I least like, funnily enough.
Kenapa tuh? Kenapa?
I don't know, maybe kayak the course tuh there were a lot of writing. There's not a lot of creativity to it. Pas tugas-tugasnya tuh lebih kayak, oh, what's happening in the news? Let's translate it. Let's write into our own voices. Oh, find someone and then try to make a story like a feature gitu. Aku kayak, there's really not any room for creativity gitu. Beda sama advertising. Brandnya mau kayak gimana, poster itu mau kayak gimana. Biasa public relations kayak, okay, let's brainstorm ideas gimana cara kita tackle pakai social media atau pakai a movement di mana gitu. And then of course beda sama media tuh ngedit video kayak beneran kamu bisa ngeliat visual storytelling of media. Journalism, I was finding it very not creative in a way. Then it's so funny to say that now. Soalnya aku sekarang bakal ngeliat journalism as beneran banget an outlet untuk kayak for creative people sebenarnya gitu. Tapi I wouldn't have gotten kayak masuk ke interested to this position to begin with. Soalnya kalau misalnya aku nggak interested in journalism dan aku mulai belajar news and media, aku mulai falling in love with that, itu gara-gara aku kerja di RMIT for the PR team gitu. Nah, terus untuk di PR team itu kan emang aku tahu nih pas aku apply for a job itu news and media. I was really reluctant awalnya gitu. Kayak, news and media. I only read my news through social media. Jadi, I don't think I can be very, very good deh untuk posisi ini gitu. Tapi I applied anyways gitu. Dan one of the reasons kenapa I think kenapa aku bisa keterima. Soalnya I did an internship pas di Indonesia waktu itu sama a pretty well known public relations firm gitu. Di interviewnya mereka beneran nanya kayak, oh kamu ada experience ini, boleh nggak kamu kasih tahu tuh kayak kamu ngakuinnya tuh apa aja. Dan kebetulan yang aku belajar from that public relations firm itu exactly what the position at first entails untuk di company dan di RMIT, dan makanya mereka kenapa akhirnya you're very open kayak, oh I think this kid will be really really good gitu. Nah terus sebelum yang public relations agency itu yang di Indo, I also did kayak internship lagi also at a public relations firm, tapi more smaller kayak a boutique kind of gitu. Dan jujur iya, soalnya aku tahu aku keterima di sana gara-gara posisinya aku di bucik gitu. Soalnya akhirnya ada satu orang yang dari tempat yang sama akhirnya juga masuk, terus kita kayak, lah kok ada kamu lagi gitu. Terus yang butik yang itu kenapa aku bisa reapply? Jujur itu because I was just googling good public relations firm in Jakarta. Jadi everything tuh beneran starts with being curious gitu sih, balik lagi gitu. Kayak aku beneran nge-google gitu waktu itu lagi pandemi. I was back in Jakarta, terus aku kayak, I want to do an internship. Terus I just googled. Terus aku kayak, this sounds cool. Let me just apply. Thankfully dapet experience di sana. Akhirnya a bigger public relations firm. Nah itu udah kelar, aku brought all of my experience there untuk apply to the RMIT job in PR. Fell in love with journalism there because of news and media. Terus akhirnya sekarang aku di journalism. Jadi the path, it's actually kind of like a straight path malah. Itu gak kemana-mana gitu sih. Well, essentially kemana-mana gitu sih. Aku akhirnya kayak pindah career path. Terus akhirnya aku sekarang juga ABC Indonesia dan gak kerja sama Australians lagi. Tapi ya, everything happens for a reason gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya kamu, dan itu tuh mulai dari public relations firm yang kecil ini tuh aku tadinya tuh gak dibayar gitu. Jadi if you're hearing this terus kayak kamu beneran kayak mau ngelakuin satu tapi kayak, oh there's not any really financial gains to it gitu, yang kamu dapetin tuh kamu gak bakal digaji dan kamu gak bakal dapet financially, kamu gak bakal dapet apa, kayak maybe try to second guess it lagi gitu. Soalnya di experience yang kamu dapetin dan kayak koneksi yang kamu bakal dapet di tempat itu pasti it can lead you somewhere down the line in the future. Ya lihat aja aku gitu, aku tuh dari public relations jadi journalism yang aku tadi gak suka gara-gara karir path aku ini semua gitu. My God, itu ceritanya panjang sih.
Tadi ada satu hal yang menurut gue menarik sih. Tadi sebenarnya kan lu sempat bandingin tadi lu kerja di RMIT dengan orang-orang Australia gitu, atau studentnya yang from an ethnic background, tapi pokoknya intinya orang Australia gitu, orang sini gitu. Dan dibanding sekarang lu kerja di ABC Indonesia yang dimana orang-orangnya Indonesia semua, tapi menetap di Melbourne gitu, baik secara permanen atau sementara gitu. Perbedaan apa sih yang paling signifikan yang lu lihat gitu antara work culture dan setidaknya?
Okay, interesting. Aku ada 2 jawaban kayaknya untuk ini deh. Yang pertama agak nggak serius, tapi the amount of small talks Australian do, I swear. Sumpah, every Monday di setiap meeting itu pasti ada yang nanya, oh how was your weekend? Kayak, oh did you do anything fun? Oh what's your plan for this week? So many small talks, I swear. Gila, banyak banget. And in emails as well. In emails. Gitu, ya ampun. Di Indo kita, ya ampun, in my team in ABC Indo, kayak gak ada yang nanya deh, kayak how was your week Ben? Gitu, kayak gak, jujur.
Malah gak ada basa-basi nih?
Kayak gak ada basa-basinya deh. Kayak kita langsung, we just go straight to work. Gitu. Ya maksudnya, dan mungkin karena journalism juga sih ya. Jadi, dan semua yang aku kerja di ABC Indonesia, everyone is so passionate in journalism. Jadi small talksnya kita tuh kayak, oh did you hear about this? Oh did you watch this documentary? Gitu. Jadi beneran very itu ya. Kalau misalnya Australia, ya small talk sih. Oh the weather is so cold today. Oh yeah, Australians love talking about the weather. They love it so much. Gila, aku udah perfect bicara weather tuh kayak gimana. Oh it's too cold. This is why I'm wearing a sweater. Gitu. Oh it's too hot. Oh tomorrow is going to be 27. I can't wait. Gila, aku udah perfect that skill of kayak talking about the weather gitu. Gitu sih, itu beda yang gak seriusnya.
Oke. Terus yang keduanya?
Terus yang kedua, I would say, aduh jujur aku gak bisa beneran really explain it juga ya. Soalnya the job is already really different to begin with. Satu tuh journalism, dan untuk audience orang Indonesia, dan untuk public relations itu untuk media, jadi untuk Australia. Jadi emang in its nature aja tuh beneran udah beda gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya di Indonesia, untuk kalau misalnya aku kerja di ABC Indonesia, I feel like kayak everyone is more very passionate dan very goal oriented gitu. Kalau misalnya di Australia ada bagusnya juga sih, to be honest gitu. Di Australia they really prioritize well-being and they really prioritize work and life balance. Jadi kalau misalnya if it's 5 kayak you're out gitu. Kayak nggak usah ngapa-ngapain gitu. If you have a slow day santai gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya Indonesia kita kita lagi nggak ada apa nih, ayo kita cari yuk, kayak let's brainstorm ideas mau ngelakuin apa gitu. Terus kalau misalnya jam keluar kayak jam 5 gitu, kayak lewatin jam 5 gitu. Terus kita kayak aduh belum selesai, ya udahlah kita 5.30 aja nggak apa, ayo let's do this gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya kayak Australia kayak nope, enggak, ayo kayak prioritize, don't work at night gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya Indonesia tuh kayak kita kok kadang tuh di WhatsApp grup bisanya saja kita kayak masih nge-chat gitu kayak oh my god, nanti besok kita bisa ngelakuin ini ya, kita bisa ngelakuin ini gitu. Jadi kayak masih ada blurnya gitu lah. Jadi tapi jujur now saying that sebenarnya ada positif negatifnya juga sih kalau dipikirin juga ya. Kayak negatifnya untuk yang kerja sama di culture emang Indonesia, emang work life balance-nya tuh biasanya agak ngeblur gitu. Kayak contohnya aja, just today I was editing a video for ABC Indonesia, padahal kan hari ini it's a Sunday gitu. Jadi ya adalah kayak harusnya kerja nggak libur kamu nggak dibayar, tapi you have to do it anyways gitu. Dan kalau misalnya Australia kan mereka beneran prioritize banget kan gitu. Tapi aku ngeliat juga kalau misalnya Australia ada concern juga yang menurut aku itu they really separate life and work gitu. Jadi jatuhnya kayak it's just work, kayak nothing bad will happen gitu. You don't have to really put your heart and soul into it. Kayak it's not that deep, it's just work, just do it kayak, and just do it when you're getting paid for it gitu. Jadi there's kind of like a disconnect between kayak what you're doing sama what you're putting into gitu. Tapi then again ya, aku kerja di journalism sih. Journalism itu requires a lot of kayak heart, a lot of passion, dan public relations. It's corporate gitu at the end of the day. Jadi again baik juga sih sama nature-nya itu beda. Tapi dari kesan yang aku kepikiran sekarang itu sih paling.
Yang paling jelas pasti kan ya journalism doesn't pause on the weekends gitu kan. Kayak more stories still happen, things still happen gitu.
Iya.
Jadi mau nggak mau emang kadang-kadang harus on gitu. You know, kayak some days are slower than others.
Iya.
And some are just really packed gitu. Dan mungkin ini juga bisa kasih insight ke future Indonesian students juga yang mau keluar negeri gitu. Dan yang mau baik studi maupun juga nantinya bekerja di luar negeri pun gitu. Baik permanen atau sementara. Jadi buat dari lu sendiri gitu, what would you tell future students going abroad gitu, kayak what should they look for? Mereka harus prioritaskan apa gitu loh.
Untuk in general any student apa specifically media and comms?
Just any is fine. If you want to go more specific to media comms juga silakan.
Aku mau dua-duanya deh. Oke. Iya, aku juga mau dengar kamu apa jawabannya. Aku penasaran banget juga.
Sure.
Tapi untuk generally, dan I always say this to everyone juga, kayak beberapa tuh juga pernah nanya aku gitu kayak kayak any tips before I start uni gitu, dan aku bakal selalu bilang be active as much as you can. You've heard it from a million people about it. You've heard it from university slogans. You've heard it from everyone. Be as active as you can while you're young. Tapi aku beneran kayaknya gak bisa stress the importance of beneran keeping yourself active ya. University is the only time before you go to work that you really have flexible free time. It's not 9 to 5. Your classes tuh bisa sporadic, at least di Australia. Kayak sporadic, kadang tuh Senin, terus Selasa you have a day off, and then Wednesday you have classes again. Itu beneran take that time, beneran untuk hone your skills di manapun gitu. It doesn't have to be in university. You can get a part-time job. Kamu bisa masuk ke organisasi. Kamu bisa do a side hustle, do a business, start baking. Beneran really like small things kayak start baking. Atau kayak temennya aku kayak pernah ada kayak side hustle-nya tuh beneran untuk ngebuat brownies. And then now she has a business dan kayak itu tuh berprofit kayak lumayan besar gitu. Jadi beneran kayak when you have your time sekarang, just explore everything gitu. soalnya little things details kayak gitu tadi itu bakal berimpact banget sama future kamu tuh akhirnya kemana. Siapa tahu ya misalnya gara-gara kamu volunteer maybe in like a pet shelter gitu, dan pas kamu lagi apply untuk kerjaan ternyata employernya juga suka kayak pets, dan akhirnya kamu bisa dapat tuh gara-gara of that very thing that you're doing on your free time. Jadi beneran sih kayak explore everything while you're free. Soalnya when it's 9 to 5 kamu bakal bisa kerasa kayak it's 9 to 5, I only have time on weekend sama malam gitu. Dan kamu harus divided between kayak kamu harus masak, kamu harus olahraga, kamu harus ketemu temen, kamu harus ngelakuin your another avenue, kamu lakuin side hustles. Dan waktu tuh lebih harus diprioritaskan kalau misalnya kamu udah kerja. Nah kalau misalnya university, when you have that freedom, just do everything, I'd say sih. So that's what I did gitu, especially in the pandemic ya. Wouldn't you say? So kayak pandemi itu lebih banyak free time lagi kan yang kita harus explore, dan beneran deh aku kayak I kept myself busy, dan akhirnya beneran that's what let me here juga gitu sebagai di ABC Indonesia dan sebagai jurnalis gitu. Dan untuk media and comms students, apa ya? I'd say read the news. Itu aku itu pengen sih aku just start reading the news gitu. Awal-awal tuh aku beneran consume my news beneran through social media, through all kayak semua social accounts yang aku follow. Jadi my news was very curated for me. It has a specific voice, and ada reason kenapa kayak news itu tuh aku dapat, soalnya it's my interest gitu. Jadi outside of my bubble biasanya tuh aku nggak dapat. And when you study media and comms, it's really good untuk kamu bisa ngelihat kayak semuanya itu tuh media-media tuh kayak gimana sih sebenarnya gitu. Every media, every journalist has their own voice, they have their own way of storytelling. Every story has an angle. Semua media tuh one story is happening, satu media tuh bakal ceritanya kayak A happen and then B happen. Terus one media bakal kayak only A happen. Terus kalau misalnya another media bakal A happen, B but C gitu. Jadi beneran deh kayak consume semuanya, kamu beneran get the really big picture of voices, of angles, of branding. Soalnya jujur every story yang keluar dari specific media, biasanya kamu you can kind of tell sih kayak di media ini tuh biasanya keluarnya tuh tipe-tipe story apa, media ini tuh tipe-tipe story apa. Everything tuh has their branding gitu. Gitu sih, that's my tip. Kamu gimana, Bill? Penasaran deh.
Kalau gue sih, gimana ya? Soalnya I wouldn't say I would be a good standard for everyone just because gue emang just generally speaking I do tend to get lost in my work. Gitu. That's work is where I do find my enjoyment. Gitu. Ya, misalnya kayak bikin podcast itu emang kerjaan gue gitu kan. Tapi gue begini karena gue emang seneng. Gitu. Dimana orang lain mungkin lihat gila ini capek banget gitu kan, banyak banget yang harus ini harus kesini sana ngomong kok sama orang. Capek iya, tapi emang itu yang gue seneng gitu kan. Dan itu emang jurusan gue juga gitu. Emang bidang gue ini, kerjaan gue emang sesuatu yang emang gue seneng gitu kan. And it's not something that a lot of people can say gitu. Kadang-kadang orang emang ngambil jurusan karena mungkin yang paling besar trade-off-nya dari segi keuangan gitu, yang mungkin paling bisa menghasilkan, atau karena tuntutan dari orang lain gitu misalnya. Tapi kalau gue sendiri gue emang senang kerjaan gue gitu. Jadi kadang-kadang misalnya apalagi pas kuliah gitu, I still did pretty well gitu in my classes. Dan gue emang senang gue ngerjain essay itu gue seneng gitu.
Oh my god, gila beda banget.
Emang kadang-kadang orang misalnya kadang-kadang gue sampai nanya dosennya kalau misalnya gue mau spesifik gini boleh nggak? Terus dia sampai kayak ini yakin nggak kesusahan? Enggak sih, kayaknya seru gitu. Oh ya oke, siap gitu. Malah dia yang bingung gitu kan, malah dosen yang bingung gitu. Jadi kadang-kadang I just tend to spend longer doing my work soalnya I see the potential or the quality that it can be gitu kan. Karena menciptakan sesuatu yang bagus di mana gue seneng gitu, ya kan. Jadi kalau gue selama ini gue bukan melihat uni sebagai ini cuma datang ke kelas, sisanya gue bisa berfoya-foya, bisa bersenang-senang gitu. Dimana mungkin ya looking back mungkin harusnya gue bisa lebih santai dikit kali ya.
Enggak lah.
tapi I don't regret it at all gitu. Soalnya alhasil sekarang gue lebih ngerti banyak tentang ini itu dan dimana sekarang ketika gue udah nggak kuliah, dimana gue harus mulai bekerja yang menghasilkan gitu. Gue ada visi jelas di mana gue mau ngapain gitu, ya kan. Jadi selama ini masa ya baik di PPIA, baik di organisasi lainnya gitu, baik lewat podcast ini juga gitu. Ini semua yang gue senengin gitu kan. Jadi gue emang gue kalau misalnya ngerjain tugas, ngerjain ini itu, gue bisa berjam-jam lupa waktu aja gitu. Bukan karena gue nggak mau mikirin yang lain atau gue terlalu fokus atau gimana, kayak enggak, sebenarnya karena gue ini yang menghibur gue gitu, ya kan. Misal orang lain mungkin terhibur dengerin musik atau olahraga atau apa di mana, dan kalau itu emang lu gitu, misalnya kayak lu emang suka main sepak bola, main basket atau main gitar atau nyanyi gitu, ya then you do you gitu loh, karena that's what you enjoy and that's what you should do gitu loh. Tapi di sini this is what I enjoy gitu, and this is what I wanna do gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya gue emang sedang sama kerjaan gue sih gitu. Jadi ya it's my work and my pastime and my hobby semuanya gitu. So yeah, kalau that's it for me. Jadi kayak kalau buat murid-murid, yang paling penting yang kayak tadi lu bilang sih, find what you like gitu, explore gitu. So then once you do find what you like, I generally do think that it won't feel like work at all gitu loh, ya kan.
Iya.
But yeah, I think that'll probably be a good wrap up for our conversation today.
Gila, gemes banget sih.
Rafa,
Dan bagus
thank you
banget by the way to end it, kayak just do what you love. Itu beneran deh, once you actually find something that you really like and you don't feel like it's work, kayak the quality that you produce, itu beneran bagus banget gitu. And mungkin juga inspire aku ya untuk beneran to really go back to what I love doing. And by the way, journalism, turns out I really love doing it gitu.
Seru kan?
Talking to communities, it's so fun. It doesn't feel like work at all. Jadi pas aku bayangin kayak, I could work until 5:30, I could work in the evenings. Itu jujur beneran gak kerasa kayak work sama sekali sih.
Iya kan?
I'm producing stories that I'm really passionate about gitu. Jadi, and thank you by the way, this is so fun. Gila, I'm expecting another feature on another episode somewhere down the line.
Of course, we can definitely plan that.
You hear it first, guys. Yeah, it'll happen the next volume.
The Perantau podcast is always looking for new stories to tell and people to meet. So, if you have a story worth telling, don't be shy. Reach out on Instagram, LinkedIn, email, or wherever else you may find the Perantau podcast. Until then, thank you, and see you soon.